What's going on, y'all? It's Brian and Fearless with the Trial
What's
and
up,
Error
man?
podcast. We had a little bit of a conversation off air, and so it kind of led on air because typically when I talk about these things, I like to put myself on the Summer Jam screen. I actually fell into with all the Supreme Court shenanigans and the gutting of the Voting Rights Act. I've actually met Clarence Thomas. Um, I got a bunch of opinions about that, but I fell into the stream of arguing with people online and trying to approach it from a fact based thing. But it ended up going sideways because I'm like, well, I mean, bro, like somebody had basically accused me of when I addressed the voting rights thing and said, hey, that it still breaks down on racial lines because parties are broken down on racial lines. And gerrymandering is perfectly legal. You can gerrymander a district for political parties or whatnot. You just can't use
Correct.
race now. You can't use race, but it's still racial because political parties are still a racial construct in the society. Like they have demographics that reflect, one race or one ethnicity or whatnot over other, or one has more diversity in the other one, and it's kind of a thing. But anyway, I fell into the trap, and instantly I'm like, hey, I mean, I mentioned is like, oh, you're probably for reparations too. Like, oh wow, so that just came out of apropos of nothing, nowhere, and so then it turned into yeah, that was kind of a bigoted thing. So anyway, I fell into that trap of trying to be right online, and I'm like, I just did it, and I caught myself. So what I'm saying is, I'm not bigger than that. And because my business, a lot of what I do is on social media, I have to be on social media for a lot of the things I do in terms of strategy and analyzing for businesses. It's an easy trap to fall into. So
Right.
I got to figure out where we were in our conversation last week. I think we're on maybe why people can't let things go, or was it the last word?
No, I think it was why people can't let things go.
Okay. Well, the reason why I couldn't let things go was because I was emotionally invested in the argument. And I think a lot of times, I don't necessarily like to. I will playfully debate people about different things. I'll playfully debate people about like comic book stuff or music stuff. But I have found that I don't engage people as much. But when I do, I'm locked in. Like I'm locked in, and that's like a personal thing I'm aware of, and so I intentionally try to avoid, prolonged discussions about real issues online, um, just because of that. But I grew up in an environment where my mom and my cousins they would sit there and play bidwiz. They would sit there play bidwiz and talk about politics and talk about what's going on in the news, and
What
you would
is
act.
bid? What is bidwiz? I don't know what that is.
Bidwist is a card game. It's kind of like it's like old people. It's like spades for the older black generation of folk, and they never taught. None of my cousins know how to play. None of my cousins my age know how to play bid. We don't know how to play bid because our aunts and uncles and stuff that were playing bid had no patience to teach us because that's how serious they would take. Like
Oh, nice.
my aunt Day, who was my great aunt, she sat me down and said, "All right, Brian, I'm gonna teach you how to play bid," and she didn't tell me anything to do. She just let me lay a card out, and then she cussed me out and kicked me off the table. And that was it. And I was like
Wow.
8. So anyway, my family used to get together. Like, there are parts of my family would get together and they would talk politics. They would debate this kind of stuff just casually. Um, you know, different political positions, talking about the news of the day while they're playing cards and stuff. And so I grew up in an environment where that was pretty common. Me and my mom would even sit down and talk about current events, and if we had different points of view, we would sit down and to kind of debate it. So it's a natural reflex for me. And unfortunately, on social media, you can't get tone, you can't get inflection, you don't have any rapport with anybody, to understand whether somebody's actually making a bad faith argument or whether they just don't understand what you're talking about. And so it's an easy trap for me to fall into. And so I got to be
Right.
really cognizant of it because that's what I grew up with. It's not a bad thing. Me and my daughter talk politics all the time. Me and my son do. It's just a natural thing that I came up in, but it's not necessarily productive on social media. If I lay, I'll put it out there like that.
No. I mean, I don't. No. I mean, here's my take.
Mhm.
If I were talking to people who would be willing to open up their mind and learn a little bit, that's
Mhm.
different. If I were talking to people that just wouldn't take my word for it, go look it up for yourself. I'll talk about it. But why would I talk? Why would I talk to a bunch of people who, number one, don't read anything, number two, don't check out anything that they're being told,
Yeah.
and number three, you're willing to argue some shit that you yourself don't even know about. You're running off of feeling, not fact.
Yeah.
So, like, no, I'm good. Nope. So, why would I talk politics? Why would I talk religion? Why would I talk any of that with anybody that don't want to learn anything more than what they know? I'm good
Well,
on that.
well, and was it John Heinrich Clark? It was like, my peers I debate, all others I teach. I remember I think he said something to those. Let me find out. But
Oh, dude, yeah. And I remember you talking to that dude,
yeah,
and he said, I do not consider you, he said something along the lines of, I do not consider you my equal.
I only debate my equals, all others I teach. And
And he would say, I saw the, I saw the panel he was speaking on.
mhm.
So I know exactly who he was talking to when he said that.
Yeah.
And he gave it to that dude.
Yeah.
That's when he said, I was like, oh, bars.
Well, all right.
Oh,
Hey Kimberly, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I've watched it,
you.
and there are levels, there are like specific areas of expertise where I actually have that kind of like that lived and worked experience, managing residential environments and things like that for kids that have behavioral needs. That's something I did for 15, 20 years, managing that kind of stuff, managing youth behaviors and stuff like that, teaching parenting classes, things along those lines. Even the marketing thing, I've been doing that for almost 10 years now. And so I do have a layer of understanding about that. But I mean, like, okay, so here's one that I fell into really easily. Media literacy, right? Like we did an entire episode about media literacy. And somebody said something to the effect of, why are there no like conservative heroes or POV characters? And the pieces of media that they use as the examples to talk about who were conservative media heroes, one was Judge Dredd, one was a steal from Starship Troopers, the movie, not the book, because the book and the movie are two separate things. And I forgot what the last one was. Anyway, long story short, I had to come in and basically say, well, I mean, Starship Troopers, when Paul Verhoeven did that, it was the humans were essentially the Nazis in the movie Starship Troopers. Somebody jumped on there. Well, the book, I'm like, but yeah, it's a satire of the book. Well, in the book, but we're not talking about the book. The book and the movie are two separate things. They share a name, that one's a reference to the other one, but it was a long protracted debate. And somebody's like, I don't think you know what media literacy means.
Right.
But you're sitting there telling me, I mean, media literacy is knowing Paul Verhoeven said, yeah, I intentionally gave them all brown shirts and made them look like Nazi uniforms. All the humans are the bad guys in the movie. Like him saying that, that's knowing, and that's being able to read into it before he says it.
That's what he said.
Yeah. It's kind of a
wow.
mock-up. And the entire concept of the movie, the comic book and the movie of Judge Dredd is a send-up of fascism. Judge Dredd is a hyper-fascist. In the comic books, it's a very biting satire of the system. The movies missed the point, of course, but like Judge Dredd that's what it was. Like he's even a fascist in the movie. The couple of movies that I've seen. It's not a hero. It's like nothing. That's like, if that's what you're saying as a hero, then And I was like, it's kind of missing the point. The people you posted is missing the point. And that's what it's like. I don't think you understand what media literacy is. Like, I don't think you understand what media literacy means. It's being able to read the subtext of something without it explicitly being said to you.
Right.
Read
I mean,
the filmic language of a thing or whatever, and understanding what's actually being said to you without somebody coming out and standing and saying, in the movie Starship Troopers, the humans are the bad guys. Like, it shouldn't take somebody to say that. That's what the entire movie is pointing towards. We're not the good guys.
I mean, yeah, actually, even in the movie or the trilogy Avatar, humans are not the good. They're not the good guys.
No,
like at all. Like, it was just really crazy because it shows what colonization looks like.
Yeah.
You know, when you go somewhere else and you want to take over somebody else's resources, you want to put them somewhere else, you want to do this and the other, and it's like you're going to somebody else's house,
right,
planet, doing God only knows what.
Yeah.
And then you get mad when they try to defend themselves.
I didn't even like, I mean, I'm not I saw Avatar in theaters. Like, we got caught up in the hype and everything. And went to go see it just because it was like the spectacle. And, you know, I mess with James Cameron stuff a little bit, like, you know, the Terminator franchise and whatnot. I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, this is Dances with Wolves in outer space. Why am I watching Dances with Wolves in outer space? Where the human who's actually part of the people that are oppressing these people is all of a sudden he becomes one of them and he's better at it than they are. They've been living their entire lives this, but he comes in, is able to, like, he's able to come in and say, I can show you and lead you and all this other stuff. It's like, I hate this.
It's kind of like a, well, no, actually what it is more like a savior type of ordeal.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like it's that white savior type thing that only this person can come in and bring everybody together. Although they've been doing this for fucking ever.
Right.
But yeah, instead we need my guy over here to come here to get us right.
Like, he's been a Navi. This dude has been a Navi or whatever, Navi
for 10 years.
For like, the movie is like for 2 days. And now he could lead the resistance. What are we doing here? But so the thing that got me going was a clip from somebody from Dune. I haven't seen I haven't watched the remake of Dune yet. So that's not, but Judge Dredd, Rorschach from The Watchmen.
Oh, dude, yeah, I love him.
And a clip, image from Starship Troopers. And here's the thing: Rorschach is a lunatic. He's a deranged lunatic. He has no ability to understand the difference between a serial killer and a purse snatcher. That's why they put him in there. He represents ideological extremes where there is no gray area. That's why his mask is black and white. He sees the world in black and white. People that see the world in black and white and operate in that kind of framework, they're not sane. He is a hero in that movie just because he's one of the main characters. And he hurts bad guys, but that doesn't necessarily make him heroic. And it's like, I'm trying to explain this, is like, but then they're like, well, your media literacy is trash. Like, I don't think that you understand because that's the one thing that was consistent from the graphic novel, the actual novel of Watchmen, to the movie. That stayed consistent. That depiction of Rorschach being this unhinged, unstable person who just happened to be hyper fixated on hurting bad guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, he stank, Like they would talk about how bad he smelled. He never washed himself. He was not a functioning.
Oh,
He couldn't
wow.
like his day job was standing on the corner holding a sign that says the end is nay, the end is near. That was his day job. He wasn't a functioning individual. That's the point.
Would you say he didn't participate in society at all?
He didn't do anything productive in society except maybe off a child molester, or if he got a hold of them. But then he also
Right.
would also, if you stole a loaf of bread, he'd break both your kneecaps too. Like, and so I'm sitting there
Wow.
watching this whole thread spin out, and somebody's like, I don't think you understand what media literacy is. This whole thread is and finally I said, I'm done. I can't sit here and debate this with y'all because we're going to be circling the drain, because if we can't agree on terms, and you're saying, I don't think you know what media literacy is, I think the only reason you're saying that is because you really don't know what it means.
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
And, you know, of course, I was kind of vindicated with that. And I think that's the other side of the online debate. You end up getting vindicated when you post something that a bunch of people like, and the person that you're arguing with gets ratioed, where more people dislike what he says. It's you know, for people, it can be like, ooh, I won something, and it's like a dopamine hit. And that's the danger of the online argument, is specifically in the context of the spaces where you got people that are aligned to agree with you. So anyway, I'm off the outline. Let's jump back into it. We can't let things go because disagreement creates that internal tension, and people feel unsettled, frustrated, and incomplete. And the response really relieves the tension. Like you feel like you're letting it off your chest. And the response isn't always about being correct and correcting the person. It's about resolving your own discomfort.
Yep. And I think that's the reason why people hold on to certain stuff for far longer, because sometimes, man, holding on to it feels better than just letting it go.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know?
It does. I'm reminded of, what was it? James Baldwin versus William F. Buckley. When I think debate, when I think kind of where people think what they think they're doing online versus what they're actually doing, I think they're thinking that they are doing, you know, the William F. Buckley debate against damn it. Why is the name escaping me? I can see his face. Versus
Baldwin?
Baldwin, yeah, Baldwin. James Baldwin. I was just talking about James Baldwin this morning. The Buckley and Baldwin debate, I think, is what people think they're doing online, where you feel like you're having these high-level conversations, but the difference is there's cameras there. You could pick up on nuance and inflections in conversations. There are follow-up questions. Believe, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a moderator there? I believe there's a moderator there to drive the conversation and stuff.
Right.
I think people believe that that's what they're doing. And unfortunately, that's not what's happening online. And more times than not.
Yeah, like you guys are arguing. You're not debating anything.
Yeah.
This is an argument.
Yeah, this is an argument. You guys are arguing because it's not to gain any insight or knowledge or wisdom or, you know, anything. It's to win. We're trying to win.
And again, it's a thing of winning the merit of the crowd.
Yep.
Right? Like, oh yeah, I demolished him in a, you know, in this debate. I debated him. No, you didn't. You argued.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, and look at you can even go back to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And some of the things that he was so-called debating people on.
Yeah.
If you actually were to fact check 90% of what the man was saying, it was preposterously fucking lies.
Yeah. What? And it wasn't.
But again, there's like preposterously, And a lot of it he knew was he was lying about shit. But when you talk quickly and then you move from this thing to this thing to this thing, you can't catch up with it. But when he went to the UK and he tried that same thing, they tore his ass up over there.
Wasn't it like wasn't it like I think it was like Cambridge or one of those
Yep.
ancient colleges. And
Yep.
he was actually, and that the thing is, I hated how they frame it, because him and Ben Shapiro and a couple of other guys in that movement where that movement of going on the college campuses and debating college kids. It's not a debate. You can't be it's not a debate if you're your own moderator.
I like that. I've never heard that. It's not a debate if you're your own moderator.
Right.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
You're standing up on the stage with the microphone. People come up to the microphone from the crowd, and they make a point, and then you counterpoint and stuff like that. But you're essentially the only moderator there. There's no third party to keep the debate on track. There's no group of judges to to look at the debate on its merits. There's no fact. There's nothing there that shows that this is about attaining knowledge. This is a performance. This is a performance.
This is who can argue the best.
Yeah. And unfortunately, when he walked in, and that's why it was college kids, he walked into a room of a group of untrained debaters to debate them. He didn't go after college debate teams.
No.
You never saw
no.
him
That's not gonna happen.
You never
not
saw him
at all
at Toastmasters or anything making these debates. And the times when they actually did go up against upperclassmen or older people or people that were at those higher, more ancient, I say ancient, one of those older, more established universities, they never really showed the footage because it didn't look good, because people were saying, they were calling out the actual rhetorical tricks that were taking place. Oh, this is just you. This is kind of what they call the Gish Gallop, where you're just rapid firing off points. And if I answer any one of these even slightly incorrect, you try to use that to invalidate my entire position. Or you're just firing bad faith argument after bad faith argument after bad faith argument at me. And I never get any footing to never get a foothold to discuss these. That's not debate. And I think it makes me cringe whenever they talk about we're bringing debate back to college campuses. No, you're not.
No,
you're bringing a person on stage to stand in front of a mic and argue with college kids. That's not the same thing. And it's not it doesn't enhance anybody's thinking or expand anybody's mind. It creates viral content for people to watch online. That's it.
Literally.
That's why I didn't want to turn, when that dude was sitting there demanding that I sit there and give him a phone line for him to call in and be on my show and debate me. I'm not doing that, bro. For what? Give my number to a stranger so you can call me and harass me berate me about things? No, I'm not doing that. And I think we've kind of bastardized what the phrase debate actually means. So anyway, why don't you take number 7?
The illusion of correcting people. The assumption is if I explain it clearly, they will understand. And the reality is that most people are not there to be corrected. They're there to defend their position.
Yeah.
So the argument becomes repetitive. It starts to escalate, and it's about a performance, not learning anything, which is literally what we just said or whatever. So, and that's the point, that the objective is not to learn. If I'm talking to somebody about something, I want to learn it. Right. So in college, one of the greatest things that you learn is sourcing. Where did you get this from? Who said this? What article did you get that from? What publication? Who wrote it?
Right.
Is it a peer reviewed thing? Is this an opinion piece or is this a fact piece? You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to know those things. And even when you're sourcing your material, you can get docked
Mm-hmm.
for not sourcing it from a legitimate place.
Right.
You can get docked for that. If you tell me something, I should be able to verify everything you just said. Everything. If I can't verify what you just said, then why are you saying it?
Right.
I can't verify any of this.
So
I mean, that's how I look at it. I don't know.
I want to circle back.
Maybe it's just me.
No, it's not. And here's the thing. So if you explain it clearly, they'll understand. Okay, if I explain how to put a tire on clearly, a lot of people understand this, right? But if a brain surgeon hopped on and talked about how to do an experimental brain surgery procedure and explained it clearly to people that have no previous knowledge of any of this stuff, it's not going to make the bit of difference. That's like explaining how calculus works to a goldfish, like in some aspects of it. You know,
Right.
I think about what is it they used to call it? I think it wasn't white chocolate, but it was an NBA player used to play for the Celtics, right? And people made fun of him and everything. And he started doing a series of videos where he take these guys, regular Joes out there, and absolutely embarrass them on the court.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't even like one of the top stars in the
No.
NBA. He was just an ordinary, everyday guy, and they were thinking that, well, dude, I'll smash this guy, and I know it's demolished people.
Brian Scalabrine. I'll show him. I'll put the picture on there, and
demolish people.
And he would sit up there and tell us, like, the distance between me and you, like, he's like, yeah, the distance between, he's like, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me.
Nice. I like that.
He would take these dudes out there and absolutely destroy them on the court, hoop them up and embarrass them. And it was all these guys that thought because they could hoop in their little realm that all of a sudden they can compete with actual NBA players, not understanding that there's levels to this. I had somebody who was it the fighting game. Okay, for those that don't know, like the fighting video game world is super, super competitive. And you could be really good on the sticks, beating up your friends on Tekken. You take that to professional, like where these people actually are getting paid to win tournaments against each other, and you won't even get a hit. You won't even, like, your fingers will barely touch the controller before the match is over, because there are levels to people's knowledge and experience. And I think a lot of times that ends up getting lost when we have these conversations with people. Again, it used to be you never saw experts, like you never see an environmental, you never see like an environmental scientist arguing climate change with regular people online. It used to be that. It's not like that anymore. I think COVID kind of changed the game. Everybody was sitting at home and all the experts were sitting home with the rest of us, and they needed something to do. But you will see experts out there arguing. I literally saw, I swear to God, I saw this guy reacting. Stephen King said something about one of his books. And this guy comes on and says, you've obviously never read a Stephen King book before.
Oh, wow.
And everybody's like, did you read who's responding to you? Yes. But he's obviously read. And people are like, are you serious? This is Brian Scalabrine.
Yeah.
This is, he would bring people on and they would think they were great hoopers, and some of them were. Some of them were great hoopers. They may have played Division II ball. They may have played overseas. That's a level. That's a high level of basketball. But then there's the NBA stage, and people are talking about the game and different skills in the game that aren't being displayed. These guys still have to be proficient, highly proficient at all of this stuff. I co-own a basketball training business. My friend does all the training. I do the business side of things. One of the videos that goes around, you see a lot of the kids want the Kyrie Irving kind of handles and everything, right? They want all the fancy stuff. There's a Team USA training video featuring Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving showing the super basics of dribbling and stuff like that. They are super proficient in the basics to where the basics are like breathing to them. And a lot of people are trying to leap stages and say, just because I can copy what he does, that doesn't mean that you got the same skill set. Just because you can use some of the same verbiage and say some of the same words doesn't mean that you are debating. Like I said, dude literally got on there and told Stephen King that he told Stephen King that Stephen King had never read a Stephen King book.
Oh, wow.
It's the presumption of, like, again, I'm so in line with being right that it doesn't matter if I look like an absolute fool in the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's part of the learning curve, right? Like, from a business owner's perspective, the people that are going to advance are the people that don't mind looking foolish while they're learning from a business perspective, but online, anyway. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you're explaining things. Like Fearless is like, you're basically a walking library, right?
Most of the time.
Yeah. And somebody sitting there who read one book and thinks that they have a robust understanding of any specific topic, you can tell them, like, just because you read one book about this thing doesn't mean that make you an expert on anything about this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole battery of books related to this, a whole battery of study that goes along with this.
Right. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's kind of like if you look at the Bible, for instance. I mean, there's so many other books that went into that particular one, and then there's other books like the Book of Enoch or whatever, which is actually not in the canonized Bible, but it is in the Ethiopian Bible. So again, there's certain passages or certain things that are not going to be in that particular book. You have to go outside of this source to go find those other books or whatever. And when you do find them, some stuff starts to make a little bit more sense. Other things you start questioning things based off of what you've already found. So, yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Well, what was that? This was one of our earliest shows where he had that brother on there that was debating the religious scholar. You remember that, right?
Okay, give me some more.
Where it was a debate between, he had all these, like, his brother gave himself all these credentials and everything, and he decided that he's going to go heads up with this guy who was actual
Wes Hoff.
Yeah,
Wes Hoff and the dude from Forbidden Knowledge.
Yeah.
I forgot homeboy's name though. But yes. Yeah, he went up against somebody. He had some like pseudo type beliefs on certain stuff, and he went up against Wes Hoff, who's in the process of getting a doctorate in religious studies or whatever.
Yeah.
And my man wiped the floor with that dude. I mean, there was some stuff that he did that what's his name?
I'm looking it up because it's Wes Huff versus Billy Carson.
Billy Carson. Yeah, Billy said some things that I've always kind of been like, okay, I'm whatever. But again, I never take what that man, I take whatever he says with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Kind of do. Anytime somebody's talking about religious shit, I always add it with a grain of salt, no matter what. But in this case, my man he stepped to the wrong dude. Talking that shit.
Yeah.
And again, here's the thing. I'm not necessarily saying that Wes Hoff's all of his information was factually based.
Right.
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that if you want to walk around talking about this, that, and the other, you might want to know your shit
Yeah.
before you step to somebody like him, because he's not gonna play with you.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what he does for a living. Billy Carson does a bunch of different things. There's not just one thing that he does.
Yeah.
Wes Hoff does one thing,
Right. Yeah.
and that is it. So if you want to play with somebody, it's just like what Bruce Lee said. You should fear the person. It's not the person that can do 1,000 different moves. It's that one person that does that one move 1,000 times that you should be worried about. That's how I look at what they do.
Right.
Billy Carson's great at a lot of stuff that he does, but he does a lot of stuff. Wes Hoff does one thing and that's it.
Yep.
Play around if you want to.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
And
I know quite a bit about religious stuff.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't even go. I would shut my mouth. If I was next, I would ask a bunch of questions. A bunch of questions.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to go into a debate with this guy, nope.
Well,
nope.
And considering,
Nope.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is one of the things that gets weird about online life, is there's a lot of information because people once he got that stage with Wes Huff, people started digging into Billy's background and started finding a lot of holes in what he says and things like that. Like, you almost end up exposing yourself once you start getting into that I'm going to get on here and look smarter than you kind of thing, because then they start digging and say, does he really have a degree? It's more like a certificate from an online correspondence course from Harvard. It's not necessarily a degree. And this specific thing that he says he has a PhD in, that course doesn't even exist there. And people started
but did it ever exist there though? You said
yeah,
it didn't even exist in general.
And so people are starting to dig and dig and dig. Like, I know, I don't know if you see like the dude Rashad Ritchie who pops up on here. He's aside with a lot of black news and stuff. Dude covers a lot of stories that don't necessarily get covered about racism and injustice and things along those lines. The problem is, while he does that, and it's a good thing, you start digging into some of the stuff that he's aligned with and some of the claims that he's making about his education level and things like that. And it's like, wait a minute. So this is like you have a PhD from a university in Barbados that doesn't exist anymore with no students?
Again, I would have to ask devil's advocate, did it ever exist at any point?
The degree, it did exist, but it was a degree mill, but even what he said he got the degree in wasn't one of the things that was listed on as a field of study.
Like currently or then?
Ever.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the danger when you go on and start doing the fake expertise kind of thing. People will poke holes in it. And you could literally look up Billy Carson and instantly AI will tell you a lot of stuff about him and things like that. But then you start digging, you start seeing all the videos with his name attached to him, like Billy Carson exposed. And you go into it. He ended up detonating his entire, he ended up almost compromising the entire hustle that he had going because he put himself out there. Because now they're talking about Ponzi scheme and all kinds of other stuff. Not good. And so that's the danger of trying to show up as an expert online, because sometimes people will challenge. People are driven to challenge experts regardless. I've seen so many people try to say Neil deGrasse Tyson is an idiot and doesn't understand physics, like he's an astrophysicist. You can disagree with him on a lot of different things. You ain't going to do it with astrophysics. Like, it's just not going to happen. You can poke holes at other stuff.
Unless you know something that he doesn't.
Right.
Which is very possible.
And he'll probably be the first one to tell you, hey, I don't know. I don't really know this as much. Like, that's one thing. When you start encountering people that are actual experts, the thing that an actual expert will do that a lot of people who don't really have expertise won't is an actual expert will say, yeah, I was wrong about this. I've changed my position on this, or I don't know about that. I need to find
Yep.
out more
I don't know
before I
enough.
say that.
I don't know enough about it.
The person
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have religion and philosophy books all up above my stuff or whatever. But again, if I were sitting with Wes Hoff,
Mhm.
I'm not talking, I'm asking, I would be talking, but I would be asking questions. I'm not
Right.
telling this dude what I know. I'm telling it, what do you think about this? Or what about this over here? What's up with this? Where can I find this at? How do I know this to be true? I'm asking those type of questions.
Right.
But I'm not gonna sit there and try to debate this dude. If all I've done is just read a bunch of different shit or whatever, now I'm not gonna act like I don't know anything. But sometimes, like, shut up and listen.
That's exactly what it is. I'm not gonna sit like I made my. I remember having the conversation with people earlier in the crypto days or whatnot. Like Warren Buffett doesn't mess with crypto. Cool. I value his opinion. Well, why are you messing with it? Because I'm not Warren Buffett. You know, but they're like, well, if Warren Buffett doesn't do it, then you shouldn't do it either. Well, I mean, that works for him. I'm not going to sit and debate. I'm not going to sit and go and try to talk stocks and investments or any kind of capital investments or any kind of textiles or anything with Warren Buffett and think that I am on even footing with him, because I am not. But if it comes down to how, at the time, how crypto worked, I knew a little bit enough to make money doing it, but I'm not going to sit there and act like I have this superior knowledge over him. But I also know that this isn't necessarily an area of strength, and he even said he doesn't quite understand it. So being an expert in one place doesn't make you an expert in another place, but sometimes you have to be careful because those layers of expertise do intersect. And so when you're talking about, like, when I was working with kids and families, working with parents also gave me a little bit of insight to know kid behavior, and having all the background of managing kid behavior allowed me to talk more directly to parents' pain points. And so I think oftentimes, just because you're a good doctor doesn't make you a great lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could be both if you study both. And there are lawyers who went to medical school so they could practice in medical law, and so they're experts in two spaces, but it doesn't mean that you're already an expert in both places. And I think a lot of times, just because we can Google something, we think we know. All right.
Yeah. I like that though. That's good. That's a good topic. I like that.
Social media incentives, we talked about it. Platforms reward engagement, conflict, and emotional reaction, right? That's why Jubilee is one of the fastest growing platforms on social media, right? It's sitting there watching people argue things that they argue. It's sitting there watching people who are novices argue with experts about specific things.
Before we
do that,
I kind of want to go back to number 5.
Okay.
I actually don't think that we touched on that enough. And that's the need for the last word.
Yeah.
And that's what you see on Jubilee. That's what you see with a lot of matter of fact, even in courtrooms, lawyers want to have the last word.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the last thing that the person is going to be thinking about. And having the last word creates a sense of completion, a sense of control, and the sense that we feel like we're winning something. Even if nothing's actually changed, psychologically, you feel like that we're there. This is mine. So silence would feel more like losing, conceding, and something being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, silence is often disengagement, but not defeat. So if I stop talking, somebody might take that as, oh, you don't know what else to say, as opposed to, there's nothing else to say. I've said all I needed to. If you want to keep talking, you're more than welcome.
Right.
But I'm out of this conversation. there's nothing else to discuss. You know, now if you bring me some new information, then we could talk about that. But if there's no new information, why do we need to be concerned and consistently talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm good.
I think so.
And again, going back to what we were talking about before, I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of us feel like we have to have the last word. Because I need to get it out. I need to tell you what I've been wanting to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, even at the detriment of myself, even at the detriment of our relationship, even at the detriment of an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I need to tell you what I'm thinking. I need to have that sense of control, that sense of no matter what happens, I'm going to crash out on you right now.
Yeah.
So
I think, and I want to throw this in here, because I'm kind of going down this rabbit hole. The Aaron Sorkinification of debate, right? If you ever watched the show The West Wing is known for West Wing, and there's a couple of other Aaron Sorkin shows, is known for these spectacular monologues. Newsroom and stuff like that.
Is amazing.
It's really known.
Oh my gosh!
It's known for these spectacular monologues and then the mic drop afterwards. And I think everybody online is searching for that mic drop moment where they end up saying something so concise and really zings them and stuff like that. And they're looking for that, is constant hunting for that. And that's that last word, having the last word where I just absolutely lay you asunder in the most intelligent way and then drop the mic. Unfortunately, it ended up affecting how we view kind of the world politics. The mic drop. Well, they dropped the mic. And we think a lot of times that's sufficient enough to win people over. It's such a compelling argument that the other person couldn't even say anything. They couldn't respond. Well, yeah, they can't respond. Did it change their mind? No, they just can't respond to it. You know?
Right.
Oh, mic drop moment. Okay, great. Mic is dropped. Now what happens afterwards? Did the person who made the mic drop moment, did they actually convince anybody of anything?
Right,
did they
correct.
actually convert anybody? Did they illuminate anybody? Or are they just getting patted on the back from the people that are already aligned to agree with them?
I mean, yeah, again, going back to religion, if you find text that stated that Jesus was just an ordinary guy, Yahshua ben Yosef, not only was that a common name, at a common time, but everybody was kind of doing some of the same type of stuff. And you start downplaying, the Jesus in the Bible, and you can show and prove, like, hey, this is what actually happened. This is who actually said this. This person actually didn't. Your Jesus person is literally an amalgamation of a bunch of different people that was consolidated into one person. And if you can show and prove that, and you're talking to a devout Christian, they might stop talking.
Yeah.
But again, that you might be able to prove that all day long. But is that enough for them to question any of their beliefs? Probably not. Are they still going to believe that Jesus is the Son of God who came here incarnate to die for people's sins? Of course they are. And there's nothing you can say that's going to convince me otherwise.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those deeply ingrained, a lot of times people have these really super deeply ingrained beliefs that aren't tied to anything logical. They defend them logically. They have lines of logic that they use to defend it, but it's not tied to anything logical. And that's where religion can absolutely turn into a third rail in terms of debating, because you'll have these logical debates that are tied to an emotional thing, but they can come up with logical, rational points, But when they run out of logical, rational points, now you're dancing into the danger area, because now
And
you got to
right,
deal with the emotional side of it.
right. And then you start repeating yourself over and over. And you start saying that, well, I've seen God in my life. God did this for me. God did that to me for me, as opposed to fate
Yeah.
just working itself out that way.
Well,
You know, I'm not, and I'm not necessarily shitting on anybody's beliefs by no means.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that if given certain info, and that might be opposite or the aversion for somebody who is a non-believer, and somebody comes up and says, well, I can show and prove that Jesus was not only who he said he was, but all those around him was just as anointed as he was, and here's the proof.
Yeah.
And then that person could be like, nah, I don't give a shit what you say. I don't believe any of that. Shit. So you can use the argument
Yeah.
either
Anyway.
way.
Well, and then
Right.
there's also because here's the thing. So it crosses over into where people will take their political ideologies and tie it to a religious thing. And then you start dealing into the was it the palagenic ultranationalism kind of thing, where as soon as somebody starts pounding the table, you're taking away my God-given right to blah blah blah. You've disconnected from the reality of the factual basis of what we're discussing, and now we're in an emotional defense. And I think I think for a lot of people that's a get out of jail free card when they're in a debate with somebody that's a little bit over their head, is specifically when it comes to the politics of the day, and ideas of what this country is and things like that. When you start digging into that, as soon as people start pounding the table, you're trying to remove my right to blah, 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 blah. You've crossed an event horizon, and you're not the logical side of this argument is done. They may throw a bunch of logical sounding words at you, but the logical part of this debate is done. It's not tethered to any real sense of logic or anything. And I think people don't quite understand that side of it.
Okay.
But it does tie into religion, because what paleogenesis is the concept of rebirth, right? The death and the rebirth, right? And palagenic nationalism is a sense that the country has to be reborn through fire or death or brimstone or whatever, or purging.
Yeah, no, it's like a resurgence of kind of like the whole Jesus thing or whatever, like a death and a rebirth.
Right.
I get it.
And so I think what happens is like I said, people start attaching rational sounding arguments to irrational things, and that's it. That's the nature of social media. I've seen people go 10 toes down on drinking raw milk. Like 10 toes down. And for them, this is such a deeply ingrained psychological thing of, you guys want me to drink the pasteurized milk. Well, I don't really care. You're trying to push pasteurized milk on me, the pasteurized, and pasteurization just means they just raise the milk to a certain temperature to kill off everything in there. Like I've watched people like type screeds on social media on WOWT's thing about talking about the dangers of raw milk. And people are digging in. I grew up drinking and pounding the table. I grew up drinking this, and it's creamier and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, do you, bro? I'm just saying, I mean, pasteurization is not like what, and then you hear what people think pasteurization is, and you're like, oh, so you just don't understand. Like, do you boil like if you have something that needs to be boiled, do you boil it? Yes. Okay. So if you had to drink, do you not boil your tap water when they tell you that you need to boil your tap water, or do you? Well, I do that because I want to kill the microbes.
I don't.
When they give the tap water warnings, don't drink there's raw sewage in the water or some kind of compromise.
Fuck.
Yeah. And that happens in smaller towns or whatnot, where something contaminates the water supply. And they say it's under a boil advisor. You got to boil the water to kill whatever microbes are in it. You don't do that? Like you don't say maybe I should do this. I'm gonna just roll the dice, man. I'm gonna gamble with this brain eating amoeba, man. It was mind over matter, man. This brain eating amoeba. If he gets in my brain and starts eating, man, all I got to do is just think him out of existence. So go away. Some people actually are so ingrained in their beliefs that there's no moving them. And it ends up becoming like, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with it. How dare you not?
Right.
So that's what happens when you start tripping over the logical side of it. When a logical thing ends up having a line of logic behind it.
Right.
All right. We talked about the last word, not letting things go. Again, it's hard. I've done it on social media where I'm like, I come back to it. Matter of fact, I actually did an experiment a couple weeks ago where I intentionally decided to see if I could out troll a troll on Twitter, just see if I could do it, and I did.
What happened?
He was like one of the incel dudes on there, and whoop-de-woo, and he kept saying, "Yeah, man, that's why you a loser, man. All you can do is just reply to me online." I said, I'm a marketing consultant, so I'm online all the time, so this is nothing for me. You don't own your own business. I do. And it like he kept trying to find different things.
Mm-hmm.
You're gay. I'm married with kids, bro. Like he kept throwing stuff out at me.
Damn.
And finally, he even said, "All right, bro, you got me. Most people can't hang." Because I kept saying, okay, and then I pivoted him back to the original point that I made.
Right.
And finally, he just said, okay, you got me. Because what that was engagement for him. Like, he was used to people having these long screeds and having these super long engagement posts, and I was just giving him like a couple word answers. And I kept saying, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going after everything I said. And finally, he's like, yeah, Meryl, you got me. Because all he was online for was just to argue with people.
Just to argue
with people that were going to give him energy back. And I didn't give him any energy. I kept pivoting him back to the original point and said, keep going. So, it is that that's the incentive. It's the reward system, reward center in your brain, that dopamine spike. That's why you could be at work on your lunch break, sitting there pounding away at your keyboard online on your phone when you should be relaxing from your work day, because it's a dopamine hit. It's something to do.
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Social media incentives. Platforms reward engagement, emotional reaction. They don't reward resolution, understanding, or nuance, bro. If we both agree on something, those posts don't go anywhere.
The what?
If we end up agreeing on what I say, the post doesn't go anywhere. Like posts that have wide agreement typically don't get a lot of legs. They don't go a lot of places because there's nothing to engage. And so arguments end up being sustained and they're never quite resolved. Okay. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. And so let's talk about the interpersonal spillover, because it doesn't always stay online. I have had it where I've had a issue with a family member. It started online and instantly became real life, real fast, escalated really fast. And it could show up in like conversations with friends, family disagreements, or everyday interactions where you always have to be right, always have to have the last word. My son has a really bad habit of doing that, where I will and we'll all tell him, like, bro, you are wrong. And he will argue his wrong point, knowing that he's not right. He'll fight you to the ground. He'll argue. He'll go back and forth and fight. Well, maybe this. Well, maybe that. Well, maybe this. And finally, it's like, okay, this argument's over. This is not factually correct, and you look crazy doing this. I mean, have you seen that in real life, where you got somebody who knows they did wrong, but they will continue to stand on that hill and argue it?
Yeah, me. I've done that. Yes. Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a real, I mean, guys, it's not a bad thing. It's human nature is what we're saying. That's why we're bringing attention to it. Just having awareness of, I did that. Damn. it always starts with arguing to win and needing that closure, and then struggling with that disagreement when you don't get the closure that you're looking for.
Right.
And so I think oftentimes we can take an inventory of ourselves and kind of say, I've gone back and looked at things where I'm actually right on. And I've actually gone back and deleted entire threads behind it because I don't want to interact with these people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point? Looks like we got a comment. Rachel, my father-in-law. Yeah. Father-in-law's
Father-in-law.
Yeah, my father-in-law was that, like, to the point where he had such a strong voice that you would just sit back and okay, we'll just let you be wrong because I'm not going to be louder than you. I'm not going to win the volume argument. You are locked in on this belief and there's no fighting this. I think there's got to be some kind of thing when you become a father-in-law. That's just what it is. Like,
yeah,
you just get like, that's like a superpower. That's like leveling up or something. You get that ability to be 10 toes down and wrong on something. I just walk away.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, yeah. I think you kind of have to, though, man.
Because it's not productive. All it's going to do is frustrate you. And at some point, I do think it comes to the point where you say, what am I gaining from this?
Right.
Because sometimes argument, and I'll be honest, sometimes the back and forth is necessary. Specifically if it's a matter of life and death or a call, we have to decide on a specific course of action immediately. You need the back and forth. But sometimes it's just my brain is bored and needs to bump into somebody else's brain for a little bit.
Right.
And I think that's the balance of it. So, but yeah, I remember I used to, like, here's the thing. I used to do that with my father-in-law sometimes. So I would sit there and debate. Well, no, actually, Dad, no. Oh, all right. Because it wasn't even like mean spirit or anything. It was just, he was locked in on what he believed. And that was it. There was no budging. And you're like, you are absolutely wrong about this thing, but I am not going to fight you about this. I'm going to let you believe whatever you want to believe. And I think at some point, that's what we all have to do on social media. I'm in a lot of political groups on Facebook and stuff, and it's hard, but I actually do seek out opposing viewpoints to try to understand them.
Right. Sometimes, why are you on so many though?
It's just a function of people I know and people I engage with a lot of times in real life. And since I am kind of the nerd about current events and stuff, it's just something I naturally gravitate towards, following the news every day. And that's just kind of what it is. But I understand it's a rabbit hole I can put myself in every single day. Just what it is. Right. And so the unfortunate side of things, I think what happens is, what are you arguing for? And I think that's the crux of the art. What are you arguing for?
Mm-hmm.
We don't agree on politics. I'm the blue dot in my house at times. Yeah. That's being that. I mean, essentially you're kind of on the island. That's being the non-religious person in the religious house. That is, you're on the island, and more times than not, because there's the thing, sometimes you be on your own island and you're just out there fine living what you believe, and somebody wants to land the boat on your island and fight you on.
Yeah.
And so it's really about picking your battles. And unfortunately, the politics of the day is, and it's not, this isn't even my notes, but there's an element of this. The politics of the day is conflict based. Mm-hmm. And it's online based. There was time, and I was in the barbershop the other day. I'm sitting there saying, there was a time where we would go weeks without hearing what the president thought about stuff.
Man.
We go weeks without knowing what the president's opinion about a thing was. I'd say
that too. I'm like, dude, this should be boring.
Yeah.
Like politics, to me, politics should be boring.
Yeah.
Like it should be on like C-SPAN, like it used to be, where people are talking about stuff that nobody gives a shit about.
Be on the news, they'd be like, the president just got back from vacation at Camp David. He's on vacation for 2 weeks. I didn't even know. That's amazing.
I didn't even know. Like, yeah,
He was gone. I didn't hear from him. Now, every morning is led by some kind of late night
oh
screed,
man,
some kind of late night rant on, and it's driven by that. Our representatives are using that. I got into it with Don Bacon, of all people, online about something. And him being snarky, it might have been one of his campaign people. I don't know. I've talked to him and I think it might have been him. But a lot of our politics are actually taking place online. And it's such a weird thing because we are not meant to have this kind of access to people's half aborted thoughts. We are not supposed to have this level of access to people's half thoughts. And we're constantly blitzed with it on a daily basis.
Hmm.
You know,
I like that.
but we have a reality show. Yes, yeah. Well, and it's a drug. It's constantly that dopamine hit. You know, that searching dope. That, you know, and I've never seen a more maybe JFK, but JFK was like, you know, chasing women and stuff. That was his dopamine fix.
Yeah, there was.
Our current administration's dopamine fix is likes and shares on social media and television ratings, which is a really weird thing. It's like we're living in a movie. Like, it's Idiocracy is the movie that comes to mind, but there's a couple of others.
Dude, tell me that movie isn't ahead of its time, dude. Yeah. Oh my God. That movie was so ahead of its time.
Yeah. And I think it belied a lot of Americans' fixation with pop culture and television and fame and stuff like that. And what if basically the president was just American Idol, essentially? Like, it was like a reality show. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Literally.
And in order to ascend, like, you can't ascend the political ranks in this country without having a high level media, a digital media savvy, without a strong digital media team. You just can't do it. You got to pop up on these podcasts and sit there and listen to Joe Rogan talk his bullshit at you for.
Oh man, that's Rachel. That's a crazy question, dude. He would have gotten tore up.
Yeah, we see all kinds of pictures, all kinds of memes about him and Marilyn Monroe and all kinds of other stuff.
Oh my God, him and his brother Bobby, their father. Boy, I don't know if he'd have became president.
It would have been the Kardashians.
Actually, yes, he would have. He would have. It would have been
the Kardashians, though.
If we elected Donald, and I'd say we because I'm an American, if we elected Donald Trump, we would have elected JFK. I'm just saying. I mean, because matter of fact, we elected Bill Clinton.
Yeah. It would have been, like I said, it would have been keeping up with the Kardashians, right? Because the Kardashians, they use stuff. They'll come up with stuff in the storyline just to sell products and stuff. Like, it's nothing new. And so it's same thing. Like, the Kennedys would have had their media team and everything spinning these stories and pre-releasing controversial stuff and getting out in front of it. It would have been crazy. Like, or imagine like social media during the Reagan years. Like, it would have really been interesting about what was going on. But again, I think just mainlining so many people's half-thunk thoughts it's got to take some toll on us. And I look at my kids again, and we talk about, Fearless and I have talked about this before. We're both old enough, and Rachel, I think you're in the same cohort too, where I grew up without social media, but I also grew up with social media, if that makes sense. I grew up my adolescence and teenage years. Like, the most social media I had was like 15 years old, being on American Online, in the America Online chat boards and whatnot. But I grew up, I was kind of the target audience when MySpace dropped. And I was the target audience when Facebook came out. And so I grew up without social media, but grew up with it. And so I have that ability to say, yeah, social media isn't real. That happened on social media. And because it happened on social media, that is not real. My kids don't have that disconnect because their friends, their entire friend group may be online. And that's how they interact with one another. But he only won it by 1%. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing: he is he's invested with inventing his own reality that aligns with the reality that he wants. He wants to invent.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's something that I've encountered with all kinds of people who have different mental issues. Is they're in line with inventing their own reality, and they're so invested in believing the reality they invented that they will fight you to the ground to maintain it. I've seen it 1,000 times. It's just scary when it has the nuclear codes. It's terrifying when it has the nuclear codes.
And not just that, but not just the nuclear codes, but they are in charge of a military complex.
Yeah.
That is so scary, yo.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, would you give
Yes. Yes. I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You know, it's like giving
and we had a bunch of people drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know people have mentioned that we're kind of in this, what people kind of perceive as this the death cult nature of religious ultranationalism, where a lot of this hinges upon, you know, and I'm good now. I'm going to far field, so you guys can stop me if you want to. But it goes into the idea of the rebirth, resurrection, the was it Revelation, the book of Revelations coming through, the apocalypse and stuff like that. There's an element of it to that. And what's scary is when you have military people talking about that was discussed with them before they deployed. You're on a holy mission. That's terrifying.
Right.
Because there's a level of nihilism there where you're like, I have my religious beliefs about, you know, you're bad when the Pope hates you. Yeah.
Hey, man.
When the Pope don't mess with you, bro.
When like the Pope don't mess with
oh
man.
When you have
and this she's funny.
This is yeah, Rachel's my homegirl. Rachel's hilarious. Man. This is one thing that you guys gotta understand. The thing that's unsettling about this is you're hearing members of the armed services come back and say, yeah, when they talk to us about what's happening in Iran and deploying for Iran, we were told we were we're being given a mission from God, a holy mission. Yeah. That's terrifying. That's terrifying because here's the thing. If I don't subscribe to the entire New Testament and all the other stuff that comes along with it, why am I being tied to this? Why are you trying to bring on the apocalypse? I don't want the apocalypse. I like my all my stuff is here. I don't want the apocalypse to happen. Why are you trying to introduce that? You know, and using that symbology, because that means you're nihilist. You have a nihilism. Well, and this is kind of they're talking about this is kind of Hegseth's kind of jam, because he is in a Christian fundamentalist church, and so a lot of the ideology that he's espousing, if you look at what his pastor's saying, it kind of matches the same thing. He thinks that this is going to bring up forth the return, the resurrection, and it's going to bring forth the end of days and all. What are we doing here, bro? Like, you know, if you're in a car with somebody and all of a sudden they start talking about the end times, the end of days or whatnot, and stuff like that, and you're like, hey, do you want me to drive, bro? Like, are you good? Like, you know, imagine getting on on the plane with the pilot, and he starts talking about the afterlife and how he can't wait to get there. Pilot just comes on and is like, buckle up, folks. What are your beliefs in the afterlife?
We're 40,000 feet in the air, and all I'm thinking about is sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like,
thinking about my eternal reward here,
I'm thinking about my eternal reward. And some of you are infidels.
Yeah, you're going to be like, land this plane. Get me off of here, bro. Like, you wouldn't trust that. You know?
Oh my gosh.
But we will have it dictating our military strategy.
Right.
I would not want to be I wouldn't want to be on a plane with a pilot that is locked in on getting to the afterlife, bro. Like, you can miss me with that, bro. I want a pilot that I need a pilot that foresees himself landing the plane in one piece and going home to his family. Right. That's the pilot I want. I don't want the pilot like, all right, man, today could be the day, y'all. Let's go. Like, I don't want that.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't even mind having a pilot say, you know, I've been flying for 30 years, and some of the stuff that I see up here is crazy. I wouldn't mind stories like that.
Yeah.
But as opposed to Jesus Christ is my Lord and personal Savior, and today I think is a day that we should go meet him. It's like,
no.
Can I at least get some peanuts first?
Right.
Can I get some peanuts first?
Like, bring my water.
Can I get a ginger ale?
Yeah, bring me
Can I get
water.
2? Right. And one of those sandwiches. If I'm out of here, let me snack on as much as I can before I'm out.
That's like, you in the going under, and the surgeon starts saying, so have you ever played the game Operation? What? I don't want that. And so
she said, no, that costs too much. No, you cannot get an extra bag of peanuts. No, you should have brought it.
But I mean, we're in this weird part. Like, Spirit Airlines just shut down and just left. Like, here's the thing, like, the entire our news cycle is so jacked up and so absolutely utterly insane right now that what would have been headlines for weeks and weeks and weeks is just, Spirit Airlines shut down and stranded a bunch of people all over the country. In other news, like, that's how crazy it is, you know. Right. And I
mean, sure, when Pan Am shut down, people still talk about that shit.
I hated Operation too, because I was terrible at it.
Oh yeah, I sucked. Sucked.
I mean, I look at it like insane things happen, and it's just like, because it's never crazier than what's coming out of the White House. That's the thing about it. No matter what crazy thing is going on the news, it's never crazier than what's going on in that couple of square miles around the White House. It's always crazier. And I feel like this is not a good precedent where we expect to be entertained by our president to a degree. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, not entertained, not in a positive way, but we're expecting some kind of stimulation to come from the president. That's a weird thing. That's a really weird thing. You know, we're sitting around, what weird Supreme Court ruling is going to come down and turn all our lives upside down? Like, we sit down and watch it on social media. You know, that shouldn't be the thing, but that's kind of the life. That's the existence we're living in. All right.
Right.
Where are we at? I think we're about done.
Man, Rachel funny as shit.
I think we're about.
Rachel's funny.
So the question of the day is, what does disengagement actually mean?
Thank you, Rachel, man. You are very funny, man. Oh my gosh.
It's been real. Gotta get some flower arrangement. It's Oh yeah, this is your busy week.
Oh, dude, is it Mother's Day?
Mother's Day's coming up. It's
when?
Sunday.
Like this Sunday?
Yeah.
Fuck. All right. God damn it.
So take care, Rachel. I'm gonna give you a shout here once we get off air. But take it easy. I know it's a busy week, so handle the business.
Is that what she does?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep, Rachel is one of my friends. She owns a flower shop, Purple Orchid. If you guys are looking to do business, Rachel's cool as hell, and she's always come through really super clutch. Like if my kids needed arrangements and stuff like that, always super inventive with the arrangements. My kids always rave about them, and things like that. My wife raves
Oh
about them.
wow, okay.
So yeah, but look up Rachel purpleorchidflowers.com. Delivery only now. Okay. But go to the website and let's give Rachel some love. Thanks, Rachel, for tuning in. I'll talk to you a little bit later on.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so disengagement. What does it mean when you disengage with one of those arguments? I think you mentioned it earlier, Fearless. Because you're probably better at the disengaging part of it than I am, just because I'm kind of online all the time through what I do on a daily basis. So what, in your mind, what does disengagement actually look like?
What does disengagement look like? Pertaining to like a conversation, like being around people, like.
Well, I'm talking about like in the argument side of things, like the online arguments. What doesn't disengage?
I don't engage at all. I do not engage with people at all. So you have arguments. I do not.
I engage with people. I'm just a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for that.
I don't. Because again, if we're trying to learn something, again, y'all see all these books behind me? I'm that guy. Like, I love to read. Like, and if we disagree on something, I'm cool with that. We can disagree. I'm fine with that. But let's disagree based on facts, not emotions. Right? So if you can prove to me that I'm wrong and show me where, then hey, go. Mm-hmm. So I should be able to do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And if I can't do that, then I'm not going to engage with you on anything.
So for me, I will sit there, and the thing I will debate online is, like, you used to have a group called Who Will Win in a Fight. And that was the entire premise of the group. You come up with two fictional characters and say who would win in a fight. And those would be long and spiraling debates, but it was fun. It was all in good fun. We were having a good time doing it and learning about different characters, because it wasn't just comic book characters, you had media and stuff like that. And so we'd have these conversations and whatnot, and it was fun. It was all in good fun. I don't mind that kind of stuff. To a degree, I don't even mind sports debates as much, until they start getting reductive. The thing that is the honeypot for me, and it's kind of a trap, is the political debate that looks like it starts in good faith. That's a trap for me.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. Okay, I got you.
Where it looks like we're about to have a honest,
a civil conversation, everything out on the table, and then you try to sandbag me.
Yeah, honest. That's the one. Those are the ones that I have to stay away from, and so it makes it hard to engage, because there's not a lot of good faith debating that happens. And for me, it's actually not engaging. There's plenty of times where I've seen it, like, I'll type something and I'm like, I'm not even going to respond to this. I'm not going to say anything about this. Just because I don't want to get into it. The one that I've been fighting the hardest against is both sides of the Megan Thee Stallion, Clay Thompson thing. My God in heaven, I don't want it on my feed. I don't want relationship stuff on my feed. And there's been so many posts where I want to say something like, I'm just going to keep scrolling, because neither side is going to be really happy with what I say. And I don't want to argue with strangers on here. So some people view it as losing the argument. I've kind of gotten to the age where I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Right.
But then I also, I want to be right. And I feel like I got to go until I say what I need to say, and then I'll disengage. And I just got to not engage at some points, where realizing this is a bad faith argument from Jump Street.
Yep.
Yeah. And so disengagement is recognizing limits in interaction and choosing whether to invest energy or deciding if it's not something that needs to be discussed. Yeah. And I think we discussed this. Winning an argument to me, as I get older, unless it's about money, winning an argument, it feels good in the moment, but that's a really fleeting feeling. And more times than not, online arguments, you end up losing arguments that you win online. Specifically if they happen on your main feed and everybody gets a chance to see you completely showing your ass and arguing on your feed. um I've done the responding. So these are the questions for y'all. What does winning an argument mean to y'all? Have you ever kept responding just to have the last word? When you're online, who are you actually trying to reach? And
yeah,
what,
who's your audience?
yeah, what would it feel like to not respond and be okay with that? So if you can answer those questions in the comments, we greatly appreciate it. Fearless. Do you have anything else before we bid adieu and sign off?
Sorry about that, man.
I said, do you have anything before we sign off?
Nope.
All right. I want to thank Rachel for jumping in the conversation. We always love to have guests jump in and continue the conversation to add more value to the show. Again, guys, I'm putting together I'm reorganizing this and putting this on a podcast format, and this is taking a lot longer than I thought, but you will be seeing the Trial and Error podcast on wherever you consume podcasts here in the next couple of weeks. Just organizing things. We got a lot of shows in the tank. We're gonna
a lot.
Yeah, are we gonna preempt next week, or I'll decide if I'm gonna jump on next week. I got a lot going on in interpersonal life. I know yeah, I may be flying solo next week. I may not. I'll let you guys know what I got going on. But when me and Fearless get back together, we're going to talk about meritocracy. That'll be the next one we want to discuss, is the myth of meritocracy and what that actually means in 2026. So
okay, yeah, for sure.
So we'll be here. Tune in. We do appreciate y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. It's Trial and Error. I'm Brian and Fearless. Peace.
See ya.